Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So, welcome to tonight's podcast. And tonight is the first episode of our new series by yours truly, myself, and co-host. Actually, I'm the co-host, David Blanding. And our first series is called Till Death Do Us Part. So, thank you guys for all of your input, all of your encouraging words, all of your insight, all of your feedback, inboxes, text messages. We thank you so much. And officially, this show is called Till Death Do Us Part. So continue to share, like, and follow us every Monday night, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you can hear us right now, we ask that you just chime in and let us know you can hear us okay, you can see us okay. Hope all is well with everyone. And King David is out for a few seconds trying to get some things together, but he'll be joining in with us in a few moments. So we want to just get our audience going and make sure that you all are tuning in and you can hear us okay.
Okay, here I go, people. It's good to see y'all. Come on and chime in before we start. My co-host, I hope she did a good job. I'm trying to make sure that our cameras and everything are still good and that we can still see each other and we can communicate to y'all back and forth. Right? As she already stated, try to pull us up on it. As she already stated, this is our first ever episode of Till Death Do Us Part. We want to thank everybody for watching the very first time that we went and did our podcast. We want to thank everybody for watching the very first time when we went and did that. It inspired us to continue on and actually make this thing official. So what we have done is we prayed with much prayer and much seeking God and inspiration from you viewers. We decided to make this official. So now we actually will be here every Monday at 7 o'clock from 7 until 8. We ask that you continue to tune in. Today's topic will be relationships, new relationships, and renewed relationships. I know we said that we wasn't going to be dealing with relationships too much or too many times. I know the first podcast that we did was about relationships, which was wonderful. I'm so proud of you guys for tuning in. We actually reached 1,000 viewers in less than 2 weeks. We are actually knocking on the door of 1,000 in 1 week. So that's great. So we thank you guys for tuning in. Right now we're trying to get our feedback going so you guys can still interact with us the way you did in the first podcast. So just bear with us for a moment, please. Thank you. Go ahead, talk to him. Let's go to Michelle now.
So in the meantime, just want to chime in and again tell you all thank you for all of your support throughout the week and everything. And hopefully once we get a few episodes, we'll be able to move on and upload these videos to YouTube for future reference. And you'll be able to go back and watch them over and over again as you feel free to do so.
Can you go to Michelle Lemon on your phone?
Yeah.
Can you do that and see if we on? Why did you go on my page?
It's on now. Thank you guys for your patience. We really appreciate it. Want to apologize for moving a little slow on this today. Not quite sure what's going on with the network here, but nevertheless, we're going to move forward.
Let's talk about something else.
Wish all of you all a happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully everyone have a good and safe Valentine's, that you all are happy and in good spirits this time of year. This is the month that we all celebrate love and also Black History Month. So hopefully we all are embracing our heritage and teaching our children to do so as well. That's very important that we don't forget where we came from and where we're going. So, let's see.
You can't freestyle, and you know what I mean? You can't do that.
Okay, here we go. All right, you can, yeah.
Once again, we apologize, you guys, for the technical difficulties. While we're on the subject of these technical difficulties, that happens sometimes in relationships. Sometimes things happen that you don't expect to happen, but how you react to them and how you respond to them is very key.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I get a visual, I'll be able to know more what's going on. Okay, I got a visual. Okay, good. All right, great. Today's topics, guys, once again, we're going to be talking about new relationships and renewed relationships. As we go along in this conversation, I ask that y'all give us some questions. If y'all see anything wrong, if our feedback drops out for whatever reason, or if y'all can't hear us for whatever reason, let us know. We can see y'all comments. Thank you, brother CJ. You said you hear us loud and clear. If at any time we drop out, let us know. Okay. Once again, this is our first ever podcast that we actually doing as an official show, which we already said, not to sound repetitive, but we already said the name of it is Till Death Do Us Part. And I know when people hear that, they think about, marriage vows or whatsoever. But what we want to talk about on this show is a variety of things. Because here on this earth, there are going to be a lot of things that you're just going to have to deal with until you leave here. So it's not only just a marriage thing, but it's a global thing. And it's a thing that we have to deal with in our lives. Like even with the way the world operates and the way society is. These are things we have to deal with. Now, we don't have to feed into it, but we do have to deal with these things. First topic or first point that I want to make on today, and we want to reference, is new relationships. One of the key things about new relationships is when you enter into them, you have a lot of excitement. It's a lot of anticipation. You have a lot of expectation, and there's a lot of things that you're looking forward to. And I thought that it would have been a great time to talk about these new relationships and relationships as a whole, as well as love, because it's actually leading up to Valentine's Day. So as we go forward with talking about this, y'all give us some feedback and give us some questions that y'all might want to have, or maybe some comments that y'all might want to make. Anybody who just got into a relationship, somebody who's looking to get into a new relationship, or whatever the case may be. One of the first things that my wife brought up last night, and that I believe is very key when moving on to new relationships, is you don't want to take old baggage from an old relationship into a new relationship. And when moving forward in a new relationship, you gotta guard your sanity and protect that new relationship by any means necessary in order for it to work and for it to have a fair chance. So as I go and do some things behind the scene, I'm gonna allow her to elaborate some more on what she was talking about on last night.
Okay, so as we were talking about, and also we mentioned this a little bit on last week as well, talking about matters of the mind, matters of the heart, and your heart versus your mind, and how you follow your mind, and when you use your heart, it can lead you into situations where you can find yourself regretting later. So we were talking about carrying baggage from one relationship to another. not necessarily in relationships between a man and woman or romantic relationship, but just carrying baggage from one part of your life to another part of your life that may not necessarily fit in that particular part that you're going into. And that can either be a hindrance or a part of an encouragement in that particular area. So we have to be wise and be very keen on what baggage we need to take and how much we need to take. And also, once we take that baggage or additional things with us to the new dimension or new level of our life, we need to know when it has run its course. And so that just takes a little bit of wisdom and insight into knowing when something has an expiration date.
Okay, guys. I don't know if that interrupted us or not, but we had a phone call come in, and I didn't want to talk over you guys. So yeah, once again, oh yeah, y'all did hear that. Once again, we want to talk about new relationships and not bringing old stuff into the new relationships. First of all, when you're going into something new, whether it's a relationship or all things are based on relationship. It could be a new job. It could be moving into a new home. You know, I know a lot of us, sometimes when we move into a new home, we even want to bring old things or things that mean something to us. Well, in the cases of relationships, if you come into a new relationship and you're trying to bring something from an old one that means something to you, you really don't give that new relationship a fair shot, because there's going to be a void or a space that new relationship can't get into because you already has it occupied with something old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. And so, you know, just and don't allow things to be space fillers, you know, just taking up space just because you feel like you have a void that needs to be filled. A lot of times we do that, and it affects us subconsciously. You know, I've seen women or men, you know, that get out of a relationship and jump right into the next one because they haven't healed properly, and they just need a space filler to feel like, you know, they have someone that they're with. A lot of times during the fall season, when you see like the fairs going on and things like that, people always say, oh, I wish I had somebody to go with me. You know, you just feel in the air that you want to be with somebody. And sometimes out of impulse, we jump into new relationships or even new friendships, you know, because you don't want to be alone, or because you feel like I need somebody in my corner, you know, to stick by me. And we do that immaturely and find ourselves in a worse off situation than we were in the beginning. So we're talking about renewed relationships, and within those renewed relationships, how to sharpen our communication skills and to make sure that we communicate effectively in any relationship that we have, so that we bring out the best in whoever we're interacting with, and also allow them to bring out the best in us.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is there's a big difference between a new relationship and a renewed relationship. But the only thing that I can honestly say that is very key and very similar is, in both a new relationship and a renewed relationship, it requires that something is done new and something is done differently. Because in order for you to establish a new relationship, then that must mean that you want to experience just what it says, something new. So if you go into this new relationship looking to receive something similar to what you have dealt with in old relationships, then you pretty much beat yourself up before it gets started. One relationship that's very key to me is my relationship with God. In my relationship with God, there were some things from my relationship with life in itself that I really had to let go, and that I really had to lay aside, because I wanted to experience something new. I wanted to experience something that was more valid, and something that was more key, and something that was more substantial and more fulfilling. So if the way I had relation with my life before having relationship with God, if that wasn't going to be conducive to what I wanted in my new relationship, now that I have a relationship with God, I had to understand that and be willing to let things go. A lot of times we mess up because we hold on to things when we go into these new relationships and we want to fit the old things into our new relationship. And now most of the time, the person don't have a clue what we're trying to fit and why, because they wasn't in that old relationship with you. So they don't understand why it's not fitting. And then you come in conflict and then you have all these issues based on something that one party doesn't even know anything about.
Yeah, and that's unfair to the person on the receiving end, to be a victim of your past, to be antagonized based on what you've gone through, prior to them. And it's unfair. It's almost like, say for instance, I start a new job and the person before me, did a very poor job in my position that I'm in now. I just got hired, but the person before me always messed up everything and never, completed the task and stuff like that. And so if my supervisor automatically puts this stigma on me, thinking that I'm going to perform at the same level of the other person, then I will be reluctant to even give my all because I already feel defeated from the beginning. And so the same thing in romantic relationships or friendships, you have to be very careful and very wise that once you end it, that it's done. If unless you have the necessary changes that need to be brought on into the new relationship, like growth, your growth, and you learn positively from that last relationship,
We got a question. Ebony says, how do you effectively communicate with someone who is unwilling to receive the message delivered? You want to answer?
I just want to, and Ebony, thank you so much for this question, because I actually just went through a course called Master Resilience Training, and it teaches you how to be resilient and how to focus on key parts of communication. And one of the things we learned was when you are communicating with someone and they are unwilling to receive the message that you're trying to give to them, the first thing you need to do is remove yourself from the situation, because you have to be able to meet them on that level. And if at that point they are not ready to receive the message that you're giving, you need to remove yourself from the situation and then find a better time, or a better approach to try to get your message across. That's number one, what I would say.
One thing I would say would, if you're trying to communicate to somebody who seems unwilling to receive the message, I would say, I want to go back to the last topic that we discussed when we was talking about relationships. When you come into a relationship, you already have to size up what you're willing to give and what you're expecting in return. All relationships are give and take, regardless of what people say. All relationships are give and take. So when you come into the relationship, you got to come in there with an expectation that, okay, I'm going to give them this, and in return, I want them to give me that. If they don't give me that, even though I'm giving this, then I have to reevaluate my position and my take on this relationship. So with that being said, if I'm giving and trying to communicate, the one that it's being communicated to, sometimes it may not very well be that they not getting it. It depends on whether or not you want to be patient enough to keep on reading the message that you're trying to understand. It's really not right or wrong. It's just if your patience has ran out, then that means that you have been all your relationship. Message, keep it moving. One thing I always love to say is, it is over 7 billion people in this world. If one person won't hear you, you got 699 million people that's going to hear your message, and one of them are liable to receive it. So keep that in mind. You can definitely move on. All right. Somebody said we're freezing up. Can y'all hear us? Are we good?
Okay.
Okay, we good. We good.
Great. Thank you, Dominique, for that. But yeah, and so you have a choice. You have a choice in all matters of life. You have a choice to show that person, that relationship grace, and that grace is given to the extent that you want to give it, to your level of tolerance. Or you can chime out, remove yourself from the situation, until things get better, until you have a different view, until maybe you see it from the other person's perspective. If they don't want to listen or if they don't want to give in to you, maybe, if you think about it or rethink the situation, you may get a different idea or different light on the situation.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing we want to be mindful of is I know a lot, especially around this time, a lot of people want to be renewed in their relationship and stuff like that. And a lot of people want to say to themselves, well, I want to start this relationship over, because a lot of people, they might end a relationship and realize that I wanted to make it work. You know what I mean? And then they come back to try to renew it. Well, if you want to renew it, whatever it was that caused it to make it end, you can't bring that back up. Because you're not renewing it. You're re-olding it.
Yeah.
I know that's not a word, but that's what you're doing. Yeah. You're re-olding it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
great.
I would use this as an example. In previous relationships, there have been times where, in romantic relationships, I broke up with somebody or they broke up with me. I don't think I ever recall breaking up with nobody, but they broke up with me or whatever, and they wanted to get back together or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Now, my thing is, that's fine. But if you bring up something that's old and that we broke up for, then it's no need for us to try to renew the relationship, because you're bringing up old stuff and we're not going to be able to move forward that way. So keep that in mind, men and women, when you're going into new relationships, especially romantic relationships. If you're going in there and you're going to just remember old things and bring up old things, it's really not going to be a good, fair chance that relationship is going to be renewed. Renewed means just what it says. Which is the prefix meaning something is getting ready to happen again. New. So it's going to be new again, which means you got to give new things.
Yeah. So, and just in comparison, it's the same thing. Like, say for instance, you're in grade school or you're in college. Once you have conquered one level, whether you failed the course or whether you had to, had struggles or issues or problems, once you went to the next level in your education, you are building upon what it is that you learned or what it is that you have already failed at. And so you're not repeating the steps, you're repeating the same type of learning, the same type of, education, but it's on different levels. And so when you renew communication, when you renew relationships, you are building upon principles and things that you have already mastered, and so if you take, a fourth grade level into sixth grade, then something is missing. You're not gonna succeed, because you can't, succeed with old baggage, period.
That's right. In fact, when you got weight on your back, it's hard for you to move forward. It's hard for you to run. It's hard for you to move. So whatever is weighing you down, you got to let it go. Another thing that I wanted to point out is, when you're establishing, and we're going to talk about romantic relationships and love right now because it's Valentine's Day. If you're establishing a relationship with somebody, right? Only you and that person is in that relationship. You should not be seeking advice about your relationship, from other people, because other people is not in that relationship with you. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So like, that's one of the things that you have to also know, that when you get into a relationship, that's your relationship. Now, we can sit up here and we can talk about relationships all day, but you know what your relationship is. So we may say something or may not say something that can help. You know what your relationship is. So you have to take what you know concerning your relationship, and you have to use whatever necessities that you feel is helpful towards what you're in, because every relationship is different. And you have to use that to make it work for you to have the desired outcome. It's just like when you go to the doctor, you know what I mean? Like, the doctor only knows what's wrong with you based on what you tell him. He can only give you medicine and prescribe from things that he has seen in the past. But oftentimes, the cases that they see, sometimes they don't have nothing. They don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. So when you come, they have you fill out this sheet to give them an idea of what you're going through, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just how relationships is. You have to have an idea of what you're looking for going into it. You have to have an idea of what you're willing to give and what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to sacrifice. And then once that's ran its course, then you got to evaluate what you're going to do.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, so like with relationships, in my opinion, there are like two types of people that intertwine themselves or entangle themselves with you to form relationships. And I would say those are the ones that people that want to see you do better. They want to encourage you. They want to, push you to the next level. And then you have those that want to sit on the sidelines and spy or try to, spy and just see how good you're going to get. What, you know what I mean? Those negative. And so we have to be mindful on who we want to attach ourselves with, because once we attach ourselves with someone in a particular relationship, that can be very detrimental to our destiny. And so that's very, very important and very key when we get new relationships, whether it be friendship, spiritual, whatever type of relationship is, develop a relation with someone. We have to be very, very mindful on the type of people that we entangle ourselves with.
That's right. That's right. I know people don't like to say, you can't let one bad apple spoil the whole bunch. But the truth of the matter is, people tend to judge you based on who you're in relation with.
Yeah.
People tend to size you up based on who you're in relation with. Yeah. So you have to pick and choose wisely who you want to be known for being with or hanging with. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, my relationship with God is very key and very valuable to me. You know what I mean? So with that being said, there are certain things that I can't be in relation with and certain things that I can't have my name assigned to, or certain people that I can't have myself associated or affiliated with, because I have a new relationship. Yeah. And because I have that new relationship, it means that certain things that I used to have in old relationships can't come over into that new relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, however, another thing about entering into a relationship is you have to be straightforward. You have to be straightforward. I really wish, I don't want to get into detail, but when me and my wife got together and we decided that we was going to make this thing official, like there were some things that, I told her, look, this is what I'm coming with. And there were some things that she said, this is what she coming with. Now, we could have said, well, you know what? I can't take you if you come in with that. And that would have been fine. Oh, well. But oftentimes what we find is people don't really represent themselves well going into a relationship. And they deceive people. And then once they get into the relationship, ta-da, I didn't show you I had this coming in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they misrepresent themselves going into it. Yeah. And then once you get into it, it's too late and you see a whole nother side. You know what I mean? And that's why I said this is why it's very key that you have to know what you're willing to accept. Not only what you're willing to give and what you come in with, you also have to be willing to know what you're willing to accept. Because oftentimes you might get in there and find out that there's something inside of there that you didn't know was there when you first went in. Yeah. And you got to ask yourself, am I willing to accept that and move forward? Or am I willing to say, hey, I ain't signed up for this. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And we have that choice. And also, we don't have to, so a lot of times, I know as women, I like to wait to see if it'll change. Oh, well, I think, after we get married, it'll change, it'll get better. Or we think that we can change, our mate. We think that we can do something to, make them look at things from our perspective or just change their views totally. But we can't change anyone, especially a male at that, we can't change them at all. All we can do is show them what we're willing to accept and hope and pray that they see things our way. And if not, then maybe that's just not the one for you. But I wanted to chime in on, when David was saying about we have our choices and how, that we can choose to allow that person to, bring out the worst in us or whatever. There's a saying that goes, misery loves company. And that is a very, very, very true statement. Misery loves company.
That's right.
And so we have to be able to choose, our misery or our joy, and we have that option.
Y'all, I'm looking at this camera, right, and I don't see like I'm all the way in the picture. I feel like I'm away from y'all. Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah,
Tanya said she loved the love our
Oh, thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
Appreciate it.
I'm trying to
You in already.
slide, but I feel so far away from you. I want to be closer to you.
Just because it's Valentine's Day, that's all, y'all. That's all.
I feel so far away. Let me fix this share.
Yeah. So.
All right. Hopefully, I got a little closer. I feel a little closer now. Now I can connect. Anyways, like I was saying, she was saying misery loves company. This is one thing you got to understand, and I know y'all heard this before. This is so cliche. Don't take advice from a friend who don't have no man or don't have no girl, and they trying to tell you what to do, and they don't have nobody to go home to at night. I mean, that's just common sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm not taking advice, marital advice for somebody who has never been married, or for somebody who has been divorced several times, or somebody who like, you can't tell me how to stay and make it work if you ain't never stay and make it work.
Yeah.
Now you can tell me what you did to make it not work, and I'll try not to do it, but you can't tell me how to stay and make it work. So another thing you have to do in relationships is surround yourselves with people that have the same mind. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like I can tell who to answer my phone for at which particular time. I could tell what message to reply or respond to at which particular time. I don't feed my environment or my world with just anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what you become in relation with, it will affect you.
We have a question. Is Sheila, Miss Sheila, is there such a thing as love at first sight, or is it just lust? That's a very, very, very good question.
Let me get
very
that.
Good question.
Let me get that for a second. Let me tell you. Now I could talk about lust all day because I had to deal with that. In fact, I still have to keep that under subjection, because for men and real men, you know what I mean, who actually can be real with themselves. My thing was, every attraction, I don't care what it is, I don't care. Every attraction is physical when dealing with romantic relationships. If you look at a woman and she looks good and she's beautiful, you're going to be like, she look good. If you look at a man, you're going to be like, they look good. So every attraction is physical. Now, once you get to know that person or whatever, like I often teach my daughters, what's on the outside should attract them, but what's on the inside should keep them.
Yeah.
You understand? So for me to sit here and say that I believe, or do I believe in love at first sight, I would have to say no.
Yeah, I agree.
I would definitely have to say no. If I had to make any stipulations to that, it would have to be, I believe I love the way you look at first sight. But as far as saying I love you, period, that's Thanks, Rick.
Lust. Yeah, she said, or is it lust? And I think because love is such a deep word, and you can't. I don't believe that love. It takes a lot of work, and so if you don't know a person, when you define the meaning of love, because it's so deep, how can you love someone based on the surface, or be in love with someone based on the surface? And so I would say, I agree with David, it can't be. Even from a pair of sneakers to a shirt, to some jeans, to a car, to a house, your first attraction to it is what you see. It's a visual. Your first attraction is it look good. You know what I mean? So, but what if you live in that house and you feel like it's haunted? You know what I mean? So now you done experienced what the looks got you there. But what you experience is what's going to keep you there or run you away. So, Yeah.
Love on first sight. Yeah, that's hard for me to agree with. So if anybody ever met somebody and fell in love with them on first sight, please let me know. However, I would say this. I knew my wife all her life, almost. Never in a million years, did I think that she would actually be my wife. But I would.
Me neither. I'm just playing.
But I would say this though. The moment that I realized that she would, I still didn't accept it.
Yeah.
I still didn't accept it. Cause I was like, no. Now, was it my mind trying to tell me, hey, you fell in love with her? Or was it me just, I really can't explain it. But I would say this, that a time will come, or a time came for me to when I knew where it was transitioning from a love, brother-sister love, to romantic love. And when that time switched, it seemed like it happened in an instant. It seemed like I saw her one day and it was like, oh, that's just Nika. And then the next day it was like, oh, that's Nika. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Let me see. Let me read some of this. That's good food. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
There most definitely is love at first sight. So that's right. My brother said there most definitely is love at first sight. Love at physical sight. Yeah, that's what I said. But what people don't know is that spirits meet on another level of existence before the physical introduction.
So he's saying it's different levels of love is what he's saying.
It definitely is different levels of love. And I don't even want to say what he's saying. I don't want to read into it. If you want to specify, bro, please do. But I would say this as well. There are things that takes place in the spirit before it ever takes place in the natural. I would not disagree on that part. I would not disagree on that part. However, your spirit, when your spirit intertwines with a person, that's what makes you fall in love. Like I said earlier, love at first sight. Yeah, I might love the way you look at first sight, but once I experience you and once my spirit connects with your spirit, that determines whether or not I fall in love with you and whether you keep me. Okay. So his point is, have you ever, that's right, Rick. Have you ever met someone and it seemed as if you have known them or y'all have known each other forever? Yeah, definitely. I can definitely say that. So like I said, that's why I say, it's some spiritual things that take place before the natural even knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely get that.
Yeah.
In all actuality, like I said, I knew her all her life, but never once did I know she was going to be my wife. But something took place, like you're talking about, bro, in the spirit and in the supernatural, until one day, literally like overnight, where I looked at her as this my best friend. Overnight, it was like, this my wife. And here we are.
Almost 14 years later, married. So
14 October 9th.
Yeah. So we're going into another year. And I would say, if you are in a relationship and you feel like it is worth fighting for, fight for your relationship. If you really believe that it's worth fighting for, don't allow anything or anyone to discourage that process, because like I mentioned on last week, we all are human and we all evolve into different people.
Right.
I'm not the same Nika to David that I was, 16 years ago. Same thing with David. We evolved, we grew together, and so that takes some bending and some compromising and some loving through, and teaching each other what it is that we want from each other. And I think I heard it was on Dr. Phil a few years ago. He said that, we have to teach people how to treat us, and the same is true with relationships, all type of relationships. People are going to treat you the way that you teach them how to treat you. You know, because if I allow someone to continue to, walk all over me and stuff like that, that is going to be the product that stems from our relationship. They're going to always walk all over me, But if a person knows that I'm steadfast, unmovable, and when I say this is what I mean, they're not going to challenge you, and sometimes in relationship you have to be clear, like David said before. We have to be clear on our standards, be clear on what it is we want, be clear on what we want to tolerate, because that is going to define how our relationship develops and what it develops into.
I got a question. Latanya Brock says, how do people fall out of love that's been married for 20 years? For example, was it lust in the beginning?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I can't say yes. I can't say yes.
That's a good question, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's a good... I thought you were about to say yes, it was lust in the beginning. Question. That's a definitely...
Yes.
Definitely. You know what, Tanya?
People don't like to talk about that, Tanya.
Yeah.
They don't like...
And you just put me on the spot.
That's true.
You just put me on the spot. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you how people fall out of love. And the reason why I can tell you that is because, like I said, we did this podcast to help people. So I'm about to be real with you.
And help us too.
And help us too.
Yeah.
I'm about to be real with you. I fell out of love in my marriage before. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you how it happened. How it happened was because, one, I took my eyes off of the reason why I got married in the first place. That's the first thing that happened. And two, I started accepting the fact that it was going down and not going up. And when you get to that point, for me, I stopped caring.
Yeah.
So now I leave myself open to any and everything to take place. And believe me, it did. But then once we came to our senses, we had a decision to make. Are we going to remember what we really got in this for? Yeah. Or are we going to allow the fact that we took our eyes off of what we got in this for to make us fall out of love?
Yeah.
Because if I made you fall in love with me once and it was real, I should be able to make you fall in love with me again. And when I tell you, every time something is renewed, it comes back better and stronger and better and stronger. I am so glad that she stayed and she was patient and she was willing to continue to renew for all of the times, or I wouldn't even say all of the times, but it's been a couple of times when we let it slip. So yeah, that's how it happens. You want to?
I'm glad you stayed too.
She's just saying that because I said that.
No. I'm glad you stayed too. But like David was saying, a lot of us, when we get to that point where we'll feel like, we're slipping a little bit, we don't address it. We don't address it head on and nip it in the bud. You have to bring it to that person's attention right then and there. Look, I am feeling this way. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. Help me to get over this and let's tackle this thing together, because we let it linger and it's like cancer and it spreads. And then it's uncontrollable after a while. And then, it's either it ain't enough chemo radiation to get you back in line, or whatever. But we have to make sure that we identify the problem first and we tackle it together, because a lot of times in relationships, we drift off and then we stop talking and then you go do what you want to do or XYZ, whatever. We fill those voids with other things and then there's no coming back,
Yeah.
So yes, you can fall out of love and then you can stay out of love and then be gone before you get a chance to come back and make it work. So after the 27 years or so, I agree that can.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. And if you listen to the podcast that we did on last week about the mind and the heart, the mind is going to let you know what's really real. That's where your facts and that's where your truth is stored, in your mind. And your mind is connected to your spirit. That's how the Creator and that's how God connects with us, through our mind, but it's also attached to our spirit. So we speak to our spirit through our mind. So with that being said, your heart is designed to pump blood throughout your body, and your heart is deceitful and would have you feeling things that really ain't true.
Yeah.
And this is what we fell victim to, was we start having all these weird feelings based on the opposite of things that we knew. Yeah. And we allowed these weird feelings to lead us astray. And then what I love though is at the end of the day, we sat down and we thought about it. We prayed about it. and we got our minds right, and our minds got to a place to where we said, okay, let's be real with ourselves. What got us to this point? And then we rationalized and we asked ourselves, is it worth saving? Is what we did or didn't do really that important to where we're getting ready to throw away what we actually got started for? And we both agreed and realized, no, like we have to stay. Yeah. And like I said, that stay in power, we only been there a couple times I could think of off the top of my head. But every time we decided to stay, the old was out the door. It was never an issue anymore. Yeah. And it got better each time. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? To now I can honestly sit here and say, like, it's definitely for me. Leaving ain't an option no more. What about you?
I think I've pleaded the fifth on that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, leaving is not an option. And what David is saying is so true. Knowing what you came into this relationship for, and I just came to my head. Your relationship with God. Knowing, you might slip, you might, go a little bit to the left or the right or whatever, but you have to regain your focus. And remember why it was that you said yes in the beginning. Why was it that you wanted to take a positive outlook in your life from the beginning? Why is it that you had a change in your path in life from the beginning? Why is it that I wanted to stop selling drugs from the beginning? Why did I want to stop sleeping with women from, you know what I'm saying? Like, go back to the basic as to why you made your decision. 9 times out of 10, the reason why you made your decision was to better yourself. And so if what you're doing now is not making or adding to that, fueling that motive, then you need to go back to that place where you, where you said yes at the beginning, and I think that'll help.
So you say yes to me to better yourself?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
But listen, let me tell you, we was the other day we was in the car, right? And we do this sometime. And I was like, that would have been you if I didn't take you out of Somerton.
Oh.
So then another guy came walking by, and I said, and that would have been me if you would have let me stay in Somerton. So you have to also understand that the person that you're in a relationship with, you got to know what they brought and what value they serve in your life. And you have to remind them of that. You can't let them think that, that they serve no purpose and that, you just here, like, I don't need you. Because if a person don't feel needed, then they're going to gravitate to a place where they do. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind too. You got to let people know you appreciate them.
Yeah. I just want to put a little side note. Elwood, you are so funny.
No, we ain't even addressing that.
Nope. Okay.
No, we ain't addressing that foolishness. we ain't doing that on here. Not today.
Hey, Sharnique, the sign.
Anyways, y'all.
But yeah, so, that is so super important, man. Like when David was talking about, relationships and going back to your first love and how you got there and everything, I just was really thinking about my relationship with God, and how I see myself sometimes throughout my walk, slipping or thinking a certain way I shouldn't be thinking or doing things you shouldn't, but God is always right there for you to go back to him and go back and say, and renew that relationship. You can always renew it and it gets better and stronger every time you go back and renew it. So I just want to impart that in there that, the relationship with God is the same way as with any other relationship that we come in contact with.
Public service announcement. Pause for the cause. Y'all, I took this cup from my brother's house.
That was years ago.
And he still remember it. I guess he had a very healthy relationship with this cup. What he was doing with it, I do not know. But now I'm looking at it like, do I even want it anymore? But anyways, what is the live icon? Oh. Thank you, Sharnique, but I don't know how to. Oh, okay. Dang, somebody should have told us that. The live icon blocking your face.
Oh.
Hold on, y'all. We got to get this live icon out of Nico's face. I want y'all to see how pretty my wife is.
If anybody don't catch that, Sharnique will catch it, right? Right, Sharnique?
You know Sharnique going to be on it when it comes down to pictures and visual now. All right, Nico, when I lift it up, tell me if it go out the way.
Okay.
Is that your face? Huh?
Hold on, gotta wait a few minutes. It's good now, Sharnique? Oh, I would say no, his end is not in my face.
Oh, okay. Well, her phone must be.
All right.
Shanika Thompson.
What you did?
Good and pretty. Oh, okay. I said nothing's wrong. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
My bad. I figured that. Ain't no way nobody had you talking to the live icon.
Yeah, but
Let me get back in here. Hold up.
Rearranging furniture and stuff.
My bad, Tasha. Look, Tasha about to tell us off, man. Y'all, just so y'all don't know, my sister Natasha Chosen Lemon, she does visual and video production and all of that. You know what I mean? She's good at what she do. She did production for TV shows and news channels, Live 5 News, WIS, all that stuff like that. Bounce around Charleston. So she critique us with how we look and how we present ourselves on this video. Tasha, I'm gonna have to call you. But anyways, y'all just bear with us, man, and I promise you, y'all will continue to tune in, and y'all will love this. It's going to get better as we go forward. Y'all just sticking there with us. Let me see. What else we got to go back and read my post.
Pastor Myra, thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate it. Yeah, she...
yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you, guys. I see. It look like Josh. Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in and everybody for commenting and stuff like that. Any more questions anybody want to ask? I want to say this. I remember I asked somebody. I said, you know, after all of this, somebody's a couple that's getting ready to get married. They said that. I said, you know, okay, well, you sure you want to do this? You want to do that? And they was like, yeah, I'm positive. I said, well, why? I was like, that don't get on your nerves? You know what I mean? And whatever they did that, you know, at the time I was asking them, that don't get on your nerves? And they was like, nope. So then the person did something else. I said, and that don't get on your nerves? And she's like, now that get on my nerves. And I was like, and you think you could deal with that for the rest of your life? And her words was, if that comes with everything else that's great, then I'm willing to accept that, because the greater is worth way more than dealing with that. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you have to ask yourself, because nobody's perfect, and it's going to be some type of compromise or give and take in every relationship. You got to ask yourself, is the positive worth more than the negative? Or I wouldn't even call it a negative, but just the thing that you don't like. Because there's a difference between a preference and a negative. A lot of times people confuse preference with negative. You know what I mean? So let's say, for instance, if you would prefer to have somebody that makes 6 figures a year, but they don't. But every other aspect is right where you need it at. You got to ask yourself, is that really worth me letting go all of that other stuff just because of that? Or let's just say, for instance, you prefer to have somebody that's taller, rather shorter, and you end up with somebody that's shorter, but everything else works. You got to ask yourself, is it really worth, you know, that? You know what I mean? Let's say you always have to be the one to plan your vacation or plan a getaway or plan anything other than bills and work and whatever, blah, blah, blah. You got to ask yourself, is that really worth me throwing away all the other great things? You know what I mean? And then just weigh it out. Don't just like at the first sign of you not being able to get what you prefer or whatever, you want to bounce. You know what I mean? Because you could really be, T.D. Jakes put it like this. Good analogy. He said a lot of people leave the 98% trying to chase the 2%. Only to find out when they get the 2% that the 98% was worth more than the 2. Don't leave your 98% trying to chase the 2%.
Yeah, that's so true. And you know, like I said earlier, we have to evaluate our relationships, evaluate our surroundings, evaluate our friends, our associates, you know, those people who, like David talked about last week, you know, the different dimensions and going from, you know, going into the holies of holies and getting entangling into our minds and stuff like that. You know, we have to be able to decipher how much we're willing to give of ourselves. And if a relationship is draining, and if it is exhausting, and if it is tiring, then maybe that's something that you need to reevaluate, because any relationship that you're in should be able to bring the best out of you. And if it's not doing that, then maybe it's time, to let it go. And it's okay to let it go. And, my point is that make sure that we make sure that we're in healthy relationships at all times.
Hey,
listen, like it's okay to say no.
I want to say this. Shalonda said, dang, I'm late. Shalonda, you definitely are late. But Shalonda, this is what I want you to do. Because in the beginning, we had technical difficulties. I want you to share this on your page and encourage the viewers to watch past like the 5-minute mark, or maybe even skip past it, so that they can get right into the conversation and the topic. Because, a lot of people, especially our people, our attention span is not that long. So once we see something and it looks like it's fumbling and all over the place, we don't want to watch it anymore. So, Shalonda, please do that favor for me. And shout out to Shalonda, man. Shout out to the Reagan couple.
Hey, Shalonda.
The Reagan couple has been a big inspiration to my marriage. I just want to throw it out there like that because I don't know, Shalonda is my girl. We grew up together. She's like a little sister to me. She's like a big brother to me. And I know, especially in a small town like Somerton, that for them to have been together for 20 plus years, it took a lot of what we talking about up here. A lot. So shout out to them. I always tease them and tell them like they're my favorite couple. So, we just want to represent Black love, man. I only got like really 3 favorite couples, and they one of them. So, we just want to celebrate Black love relationships on this very special Valentine's Day. So, since we had, hey, Shalonda, since we had technical difficulties in like the first 15 minutes, we're going to spill over until the 8 o'clock hour. So, 5-10 minutes, y'all can ask us some questions right now, and we will answer. Yeah. Questions about whatever you want to ask about.
And I just want to add on, it's time out for pretending like, things are not what they are, because people get true healing in relationships and in life when you are real and you are authentic about how you feel and what it is that you want. And you can begin, once you're real and true with yourself, you can truly identify what your needs are, but if we put on a facade that we have it all together and that we don't need anything or we're not lacking anything, right, then we can't fix it. It can't be healed, and so we're walking around broken on the inside because we want to put on this image or look like, all is well when it's really not, and a person can really love you to the core when you're honest with them about who you are.
That's right. I laid it all on the line when me and my wife decided to get together. I told her, look, I cannot promise you this. I cannot promise you that. I cannot promise you that. But what I can promise you is this, that, blah, 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 blah. I can promise you that. However, she had to decide, is what he can promise me more important, or is what he can't promise me more important? And I thank God, that she decided to go with what I could promise her. And I made good on every last one of them except for a horse. She said she wanted a horse. I couldn't buy none yet because we don't have enough room and space to take care of it right now. But I take a horseback riding all the time. Let me see what Brandon said. Hey, he was child in Great Institute of 20 years. Fall out.
Yeah. That was a good answer, what you said about the, fall out of love after 20 years and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, sis.
Yeah.
My sister was the cord. Her and my pastor and brother, Pastor Raymond Johnson. They was the cord. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Not Easily Broken, when they had the 3-string cord. And it was like each person, the wife and the husband, represented one cord, and then God represented the cord that's in the middle. Well, along with God, my sister was that cord in the middle. Let me tell you what she did. She literally did this. Yeah. Literally. She knew, we didn't even tell her. She knew we was going through some stuff. I had both my feet was out the door. Only one pinky toe was in the door. And my sister grabbed both of us and tied a cord around us and locked us inside her closet and said, now y'all don't come out here until y'all get it right.
Yep.
And you need people like that in your corner. You don't need your homegirl who's single in your ear saying, girl, he did that. You need to leave him. Or you don't need your boy in your ear saying, yo, if that would have been my girl, she would have been done. That's it. I'm gone. Because you got to deal with that at the end of the day. You have to deal with that at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
That's what we were talking about in relationships. Surround yourself with people that want to bring the best out of you, that see the potential in you, and that their business is to make sure that the best is brought out of you. And if you're in a relationship with, if you have friends and stuff that don't want to do that, then you need to find some new friends. Because if you're not cultivating what's already in me, you're not pushing me to my next level, then me and you know,
why we in relationship? And listen, this is the thing, right? And I'm laughing. Y'all see me laughing from time to time because my daughter over here looking at us, and she's shaking her head every time I give a good answer, like she know what she's talking about. So anyways, we're going to have to deal with that later. But yeah, my brother made a great point earlier. He said that him and his fiance, soon to be wife, they were saying to themselves, good thing that they didn't choose according to their type, because their type may not be exactly what they need. And that's very key, because anybody who know Nika, you know, a lot of y'all know Nika as well as I do, or almost as well as I do. And y'all know I am not her type at all. I am not. You know what I mean? Oh man, I wish we gonna have a segment where we.
And I'm not his type. Like, I mean, for as far as type, I mean, I'm saying, but it's certain things. You know, it's certain. I don't think that I'm. You know,
I'll tell you this. I would break it down like this. Word. No. You said it right. You said it right. You said it right.
Oh, I did. Okay.
You became my type. You became my type.
Oh.
You want me to explain that?
Yeah, because I don't know what that means.
Because when we first met, you was Nika. You know what I mean? Like, you was Nika. Like, y'all remember when Nika used to wear them big basketball jerseys and you know,
everybody
big
did that.
Tomboy,
Everybody did that in the 90s.
TLC, not everybody, you know.
Anyway, I felt like, you know, that I'm not his. David's type is more like, like what? Alicia Keys, kind of like tomboyish looking still.
Well, Alicia Keys, that's my wife. It's like, no, let me stop. But yeah, you know, I had to find out that, like my brother said, you can't always choose to your image of your type in your head. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because oftentimes your type may not be what you need. Yeah. And the reason why I said she grew into my type is because she and I was friends for a long time before we ever thought about making it romantic. And as friends, I watched you grow into my type. So of course, when we first met each other, no, you wasn't my type, but I wasn't trying to be with you.
I think when we say type, we mean on the outside. And so we are each other's type, you know, based on who we are to each other, and, you know, but on the outside, you know, I don't think, because, you know, David wore baggy clothes and you know,
don't put my business out. Don't put my business out in the street. Yeah. Y'all know how I was. That's all.
Yeah. But thank God for Jesus, right?
But yeah, man. So, you know, find that person that you grow with, you blossom with, you mature with. Because, like I said, you know, I never, you know, she in the beginning, you know, wasn't my type, but because we had a friendship, we grew into each other's type, I guess you would say. And at the end of the day, we are fortunate enough to know that even when the romance leaves from time to time, because it will if you're not careful, we still have that foundation of a friendship. You know what I mean? And yeah, like my brother saying that, watch your type grow into her. Yeah, like she grew into what I needed. You know what I mean? Because I grew. You know what I mean? And when I grew, I started realizing that the things I thought I need wasn't really what I needed. So I started looking for different things inside of the woman that I choose. Yeah. And she grew into it. Yeah. And like I said, to this day, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to know where I would have been if she and I never got together.
Yeah, like we literally grew together, you know, and that's what relationships are about, you know, growing together, you know. And it's very important that one doesn't leave the other behind. You know, when I get to a certain point, you know, I don't leave you behind. You know, we're all in this place together, and our vision has to be the same. You know, I have to, the woman in our marriage, I have to be able to have the ability to push his vision, and I have to share the same vision, because if we're not going the same place, it's not going to work anyway. Mm-hmm. We have two separate agendas, then we have different interests, and it's not going to work, so.
Yep. And you have to know, people say marriage and relationship 50-50. No, you got to be complete yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least coming into it. You know what I mean? You're always going to find out something different about yourself as life go on. So that's another thing we have to get out of our head. You don't even know who you're going to be 10 years from now. Yeah. So you can't expect the person that you're meeting today and saying, and if you want to have forever or whatever, you can't expect that 10 years from now for them to still uphold something that they may have told you 10 years prior, because they don't even know who they're going to be 10 years from now.
Yeah.
You have to find the core things that matters and have to say, if it's got to be one thing that you say, as long as this doesn't change, I am willing to deal with everything else. And the one thing for me that I held on to and said, as long as this don't change, I'm willing to deal with everything else. I knew that if she didn't do nothing else, she loved me beyond a shadow of a doubt. I knew that she had my back, even when I did right, when I did wrong. I know that at the end of the day, she wanted me to be okay, with or without her. And that's all I needed.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's that.
Look, I done took her breath
away. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you have to know that, though. You have to know that and not have a question, if, this person, if leaving is an option, or if this person doesn't have my back. Like, say, for instance, if somebody told David something about me or whatever, he has to be able to know if that is of me, if what is being said about me, or if somebody said I said something, he has to know me well enough to know my character, to know my strengths, to know my weaknesses, and to be able to judge a situation according to that, according to what he knows. And so you have to be able to evolve with each other, to learn each other, to know each other, so that you can battle or combat the issues of life together. Because if not, you're going to be questioning if you know that person well enough to know if they fell into a trap that you heard about in the streets, or if they fell into a rumor that's going on. You got to be able to know the person that you are in a relationship with, and that's friendships as well.
That's right. Look, we got Nicole here. She said, y'all go awesome. Love seeing the two of you like this, and love the word that y'all are putting out there. Keep up the good work. In God, all things are possible. Love you guys. We love you too, Nicole. Nicole, we thank you. And that's a person who knows where we are and where we were and some of the things that we've been through. The whole Felder family, the Pierre family, James, Missy, Tattoo, Dominique. We love y'all. We love y'all so much.
Everybody love you.
We love y'all. The whole VA family, we love y'all. But yeah, so it's just, you got to find out what's worth holding on to, and you can't let nobody determine what you decide to stick with, because they not in it. They not in it. You in it. You know what I mean? You in it. Mm-hmm. You in it. Mm-hmm. So, that's one thing that I can't stress enough. You are in that. Nobody can. At the end of the day, you got to deal with the decisions you make.
Yeah, and once you do that, then you own it. And then the consequences of your decision, you don't have to worry about, blaming someone else for the decision that you decide to make. And that's why it's important. I had to learn this in the beginning of our relationship, that whatever it is that you and your spouse, your mate, or your friend may be going through, it's nobody else's business but yours, and so the more you keep that in mind, and the more you keep what's going on in between the two of you all, you can fix that, because telling your family members or your friends or whatever, they'll hold on to stuff for years and years and years to come, and you and your mate have moved past that, and then that further destroys potential good relationships from outsiders,
Facts, big facts. One thing I could say is this, that what I've learned and what I pride myself on is, if I don't see it that way, it's going to be hard for you to make me see it that way. I've learned to not allow people to influence the decisions in my life that I know that I'm going to have to live with. If I'm gonna be wrong, I want to be wrong because I chose it. I don't want to be wrong because somebody else chose it. Because you will wake up and find yourself trying to redirect your life and recreate your life because of what other people thought and what other people expected and what other people wanted, only to find out that that's really not what you wanted.
And they done moved on and they in peace and you up in the middle of the night trying to figure out how you're going to undo something that you made a decision based on somebody else, you know, and you're the one that's stuck. So that's very important, and that takes wisdom and practice, you know, to be able to do. Because it's a hard thing when we grow up with the opinions of others. You know, you learn to depend and trust on the decision making of other people, and to be able to change that and then make decisions on your own. You know, it takes a lot. It can take a lot out of you. You know, and a lot of times we want to be able to blame somebody else for a decision that we make, so we won't have to feel like we're responsible for our decision. You know. So that's a dangerous thing to do as well.
All right, guys, we coming up on the 15 minutes after 8, and I know we're supposed to go from 7 to 8. So real quick, y'all want to drop some questions or some comments real quick before we go? We're going to give y'all a 5-minute span to do so. Don't everybody do it at one time. Go ahead and drop it in.
Yeah.
Again, while we waiting on y'all to drop those comments and stuff like that, we apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning, you know. Keep in mind, we are doing this on Facebook Live. We are using a cell phone camera for our actual camera. I am doing this in my living room of my house. So y'all might see me looking to the left or to the right. It's because my daughter is distracting me, trying to get me to talk about certain stuff. Or she's going, that's the truth. Like she know what relationships is about. We're gonna get to that later. And she trying to remind me to tell the title of the show, which is Till Death Do Us Part. Real quick trivia, that we're just gonna have fun with. Which daughter is this that's doing all that? Who can guess it?
I already know.
Who can guess it? Which daughter is doing all of this? Let's see. I got 11 viewers. Somebody should know which daughter is doing this. Tasha, you can't answer. Love you, Dominique. Nobody. Oh, and y'all might hear the baby acting crazy upstairs, you know, flipping and cutting cartwheels and all of that too.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for the questions to come in and for somebody to answer,
right.
Jalen. Oh, you said Jalen.
Oh, I thought she said no. Key. See, no.
Yeah, Jalen do talk a lot though. She do ask a lot of questions.
Jalen would have been up here talking. No, Tanya. No, everybody saying J-Lo.
Wow.
No. Dang, I bet you if my mother would have answered, she would have got it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in the meantime, while we're waiting on your questions and things of that nature, I just want to take a moment to make an announcement for a very big event that is going on in Somerton, South Carolina, this upcoming Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be hosted by Woman to Woman Ministries, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. There are going to be women gathering together to help empower, to help encourage, to uplift, and also just push each other along within the community and be able to serve each other. And so if you are a woman or a male, if you're a woman specifically that are looking for an extra push in the spiritual realm and the natural realm, you want to see what it is that you are, focusing on in life, what you should be focusing on. You need somebody to agree with you to help push you into that corner, into that realm. Please come out. It's going to be hosted at 216 East Main Street, right uptown in Somerton. When you're coming into Somerton, it'll be on the left side at the traffic light. Please be there, and I promise you, you will not regret it, and it will not be your last time. Right now, it's going to be on Thursdays. The first meeting is Thursday night, this upcoming Thursday, February 15th at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be hosted. The CEO of Woman to Woman is Elder Sabrina Johnson. You can find her on Facebook, and I promise you, once you reach out to her, she will elaborate and give you more details on this dynamic event. You do not want to miss it.
I want to add to that, all women, I can't stress this enough. this, just go and see what it's about. You know, even if you come in to just be nosy, I guarantee you will hear something, you will see, and you would want to come back. So just please, all women, come out there, come check it out. I'm not just saying this because it's my sister. I'm telling you what I know. This is definitely a good thing. Anytime you get a group of people coming together for a positive cause, it is always great, especially when it's effective.
Yeah.
And I have seen this, her methods be effective, not only in my life, but in the lives of other people. So, yeah, definitely come out. Hey, Stacy. Stacy.
Hey, Stacy. Yeah.
So you guys, just check that out. Other news. We got more announcements that'll be coming up to you later. One thing I want y'all to do is I want y'all to be on the lookout for, it's a new random segment that I'm about. Well, I did it before. I don't know if y'all remember it. It was called Fire Pit Talk. And, I was outside in my backyard. I got a fire pit back there, and I was outside on my back, patio. And, I was just talking about intimate discussions, just me and the people alone in the dark with the fire pit going. Y'all be on the lookout for that. 30-degree weather, but it's been a little bit warm now. But I'm gonna do it again soon because there has been some inboxes that I have been getting pertaining to things like racial relations, the church and politics. You know, things that really has to be addressed. And guess what? I believe that I am the right one to address it. You understand? I posted a video earlier today about, a young man by the name of, Stinney. Last name is Stinney. And, I can't remember. I think it's George Stinney, 14 years old. He was, wrongfully accused of killing 2 white girls. One was 11 and I believe one was 8. And he was accused of killing them, dragging them a distance and dumping their body into the water. He was only 90 pounds. And this happened in Clarendon County. They executed him. They found him guilty and executed him. And years later, 70 years later, they found out, which and they already knew, but it was brought to the forefront that he didn't commit this crime and he was exonerated. And I said that to say this. This happened in 1944. That is not that long ago. So people, I want you to know that it is almost a guarantee that the relatives of the one that committed this act against him could very well be your school board officials, could very well be your sheriffs, could very well be working in your police department, could very well be the mayor that you elected or did not elect, because you elect somebody when you don't vote for somebody.
Of course.
You understand? So this, like 1944, that's not that long ago. This could be some of the pastors in your community. This could be some of the neighbors. This could be residents of the houses that you drive by. People, 1944, that is not that long ago. In fact, dare I say, the jury, some of the members of that jury could still be alive today. And Lord knows what positions they can hold. So, yeah, you know, this is the type of stuff I'm going to be talking about in that fire pit talk. So y'all be on the lookout for that. So, I'm going to allow my wife to sign off, and I'm going to leave y'all on that note. You want to pray us out too?
Yeah, so I just, thank you all so much. We really appreciate the feedback, the conversation, the vibe, the energy. We love it. We love it. Thank you guys so much. And we'll be back here again on next Monday, which is going to be February the 19th at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So thank you guys so much. Please share, love the videos.
Share.
Everybody, we want to make sure that this energy gets out there, in the masses, and that everybody get a chance to partake, in what it is that we're trying to do.
And please, when you share, put in the captions that it picks up after a certain amount of time due to the technical difficulties. Please put that in there, because I don't want people's attention span to go away. So we're going to pray out, and we'll see you guys right back here again, 7 p.m. Monday. Do not miss it.
Yes, let us pray. God, we thank you, Lord. We thank you for this segment once again. We thank you for the viewers that you have allowed to view in, God. We thank you for the input that they've given. We thank you for the energy, God, that's going out in the spirit realm right now, God. We pray for every household that is listening, that's joined in today, that you will meet them at their needs. And we pray that everyone be safe until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Remember, if y'all any topics that y'all want us to talk about, and if you still have questions pertaining to things that we talked about tonight, you can inbox us or you can still comment on the video and we will look at it and we will answer them. So even after this goes off, you can still give us questions, pertaining to this. Until next time, I'm King David Michael. This is my wife, Lady Tanika Blandon, and we will see y'all next time on Till Death Do Us Part. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All righty.